Welcome everybody. I'm so happy to have you here at the How I Made It speaker series. Today's topic is tech entrepreneurs. So they are entrepreneurs that are somehow either leveraging or using technology in their businesses. And as I said, the format is that we'll hear a little bit from each of them, and then we'll open it up to your questions. So if you want to kind of be thinking and maybe even jotting down your questions so that you can ask them. Microphones are on, so we're live. I'm going to go ahead and introduce our first speaker, Taylor Reaume. He is a search engine optimizer, and his business is called Search Engine Pros, and I'm just going to let you take it away, Taylor.
Great.
Welcome.
So, does anybody here have a hard to spell last name like I do?
Like Reaume?
Yeah. So one of the things I used to hate about college life was when I would be in class, the teacher would always mess up my name. It's a French name, it's Reaume. They always say Reaume, right? Reaume? Come on. But so my name's Taylor Reaume. I'm the founder of the SearchEnginePros.com here in Santa Barbara. And about 11 years ago, I started a stock audio website. I'm a musician. I went to Humboldt State University, and this was a website where if you're a musician, you could go upload your music and you could sell it on the website. It was a basic idea. And this was back when Google was 1998. They were called Backrub. Anybody know that? Before they were called Google, they were Backrub, before they changed their name. But so this was something where computers were new back then, and I was interested in them, and I was majoring in economics and marketing and minoring in music. And so I kind of combined my passion of music and computers is what I did. And in 2007, I was able to sell the site for 6 figures to Jupiter Media. So I was very fortunate to be able to work with them as an SEO consultant. And my big claim to fame is SEO, as my world is search engine optimization. And yeah, I'm here today to tell you a little bit about my secrets, and hopefully you can walk away with some tips on how to optimize your website and how you can get #1 on Google. So I'll try to share some tips with you guys. Yeah.
Oh, is that it?
Oh, did you want to do an intro, or I can keep talking?
No, I want you to tell your story, which you did.
Sure,
so
sure.
Tell a little bit more about your business.
So let's see, what can I do? Well, so the
Go ahead and give us some tips.
Yeah, sure. So if I could tell you the three, I was writing some notes on my cell phone on the way over. How could I help out here? The 3 big secrets to my success, I would say the foundation is having an attitude of gratitude. That's something that has got me really far in business life. Just being friendly and just being a generally friendly person will break the illusions of separation with employers and with people in general. And one of the things I've learned later in life is that your network is your net worth. So the more people that you know is the more success that you'll have. So be a friendly person, meet a lot of people, and have an attitude of gratitude. There's an old quote, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. That's a great quote. I know we all, sometimes we get too in our own heads. I know I'm guilty of it too, and we're talking about the not having that foundation of I care for you, and that's so important in business. What else here? Let's see. Endorsements and doing internships, like what we're talking about here. I did a lot of internships. One of the biggest secrets to my success is you have to find a way to add massive value to people before you ask them to buy or give you a job. And it's one of the most difficult things because everyone's so busy doing their own job, and how can you have free time to add value to people? Well, that's part of, I think, working smarter and not harder, is finding ways that you can add value to people, and then you help enough people along their own path, they want to help you along yours. So that was a big concept for me. And it's tough. It's tough you really got to work hard to make something of value that you can give away, and that you can have a art of reciprocity. But you can do it if you work hard. And I firmly believe that nothing can stop hard work. If you just work hard, nothing can stop that. Just keep on working hard, and you'll eventually, over the years, you'll accomplish something. Arnold Toynbee, I love this quote. He's a historian, a British historian. He says that the supreme accomplishment is to blur the line in between work and play, and basically it means you should be a workaholic. No, no, but if you should do something that you like, and because if you're not passionate about it, then, and that's kind of a trite thing. You know, a lot of people say that, but that's one of those things that you don't want to miss. That you have to find something that you're good at, and that you have a learning style that matches with it. There's 3 different learning styles. There's auditory learning, there's tactile learning, and there's the visual learning learner style. And we all learn in all those styles, but usually one is more prominent. I'm an auditory learner. My girlfriend, she says, when she says, look at this, I never like it. When she says, listen, I always, you know, because I'm auditory. But so if you get into a profession that you're passionate about and it also matches your learning style predominantly, then you're going to go a lot farther than other people. And that's very important, to find that occupation that complements you, and then fuel that with the hard work. And never settle for, I know when I was starting out back in Humboldt, onto Humboldt State, and I was in a little 1-bedroom apartment, and I think the most valuable appliance was my toaster oven, because I had top ramen, and it was the most important appliance in my place, and toast was what I was eating. And I remember I had this little squirter by the water squirter, because it would catch on fire and I have to put it out. Just in enough time. But I found in terms of working smarter and not harder, I found a job. It was really important to me to find a job that was on campus, because I knew that if I didn't get a job on campus, I wouldn't be able to get ahead, because I would have to drive into the college, and that would take time, and I'd probably lose my motivation. So I was really serious and aggressive about finding a job that was on campus, and the way I went about it was in a smart way. I think was through work study. Does anybody know about work study here? So I got this thing called work study, and I went to every job at the university, and I said, where would I have the best job? And the best jobs to me are the ones where you can get 2 things done at once, right? So you can get ahead, so you can read and get some work done. And I found this job that was a computer lab monitor, and I could just read, and I could, get 2 things done at once. So jobs like that, where you can get 2 things done at once, are really important. And when I went into these interview process, I had the government saying that they would reimburse the employer for half of the wages. That's what work study is, I guess. It's like so I did that for a couple of years, and that's how I got the in on the job. And so that was important. You having a job that's you can get 2 things done at once. Is being very efficient is very important, and aggressively interviewing. I was a serial interviewer. I would, not that I would be fired, but that I would try it out, and if I didn't like it, then I would quit, because if I'm going to work this hard at something, it has to be good environment, good people, something that's where you can get ahead. So, and make friends with the right people. Your network is your net worth. That's a very important concept. And see efficiency as a game, really as something that you can have fun at, and try to do 2 things at once, that kind of a thing. So hopefully that gives you some tips on, those are kind of the big secrets to my success. And then, but fueling all of that is just hard work. You just gotta work hard. And when you talk about your passion, you're learning, what are your passions? You want to have something that is, you can monetize. A lot of my friends up there, they were making hemp necklaces and stuff. And I was like, how are you going to monetize that? So, there's certain things that it may be your passion, but you might want to find another passion if it's hemp necklaces. That's another thing, but you got to be smart about it, right? You got to be smart about which, you might be passionate about this, but if you want to have a home, and you want to have a car and a family, combine your first passion and your second passion. Try that. That's what I did. I did music and computers. So, because sometimes, unless you're remarkably good at your first passion, it might be too difficult. So, I have a free class that I teach down at the Vets Hall. If you guys are interested, it's every Monday from 6 to 8. It's a free class, and it's 10 to 20 business owners show up, and we're talking about how to do Google marketing, how to get #1 on Google. So come on down and.
Where is that?
The Vets Hall.
Is it the Veterans Memorial Building?
Yes, right on the beach. Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
It's a lot of fun, and you can network with people. What's up?
It's like 6 to 18 Castillo.
6 to 8 on Monday, and it's 2, I forget the address, 212 Cabrillo, right by the
It's
pier.
the Veterans Hall.
Yeah.
But the Veterans Memorial Building is the actual exact name.
Yeah, and you can, there's some flyers there that you can email me, I'll send you the instructions. But I hope those comments were useful for you, and I do have an internship that you can sign up for over there, but at least come down and get some free tips from the community about web marketing.
Great.
Thanks.
Thank you. Taylor has some materials that you can pick up after we're all done here, and that was great. Thank you so much for sharing with us. Our next speaker is Christian Smith, who has a company called Phone Halo, and I would just like to say that I found Christian through LinkedIn. Somebody told me about him. They said, hey, you might want to get this guy for your speaker series, and I went to LinkedIn, and it turns out that I have a friend from high school who is his uncle. I didn't know that, but so I got introduced on LinkedIn. So I want to let you guys know that those social networking websites are real and have real world applications. So Christian, I'm going to turn it over to you, and looking forward to hearing about Phone Halo.
Cool, thanks. How are you guys doing this afternoon?
Great.
Cool, yeah, glad you guys are all here. It's really fun to see people that are excited and wanting to learn more, wanting to learn how to improve themselves and kind of make your ideas a reality, make your dreams a reality. That's kind of, for me, what entrepreneurship has been all about, is what can I think up that's going to change the world and make everyone's lives better? And how can I benefit society? How can I build a business that's going to, give our janitor his kids' college tuition? Or, just like thinking on those lines, thinking big, and just dreaming big too. So a little bit about me. I'm a mechanical engineer. I graduated from UCSB, and this is a picture of me with my senior project team. We made this really awesome sensor, and it was a wave height sensor. And if you see the diver at the bottom of that right-hand picture, they're going and actually installing one of these sensors out in the Channel Islands, and geologists were using these sensors to gather data of how big are the waves that are coming into nearshore ecosystems. So they were doing, is the ocean height rising and all that. But long story short, this is where I really got to cut my teeth on programming and electronics and actually how to solve problems in the real world by building a little circuit board. And we have circuit boards on just about everything, right? Each of us probably have 4 or 5 circuit boards: our iPod, our phone, our computer, our watch. There's a lot of computing power that we're actually physically wearing. And after that, I got excited about electronics, so went and worked at an electronics company and managed a production line there. So that was in 2009, or in 2008 is when I graduated, and then I worked for a year and launched a company called Profound. We started at the technology management program at UCSB, and we won the business plan competition there. But the year before that, we completely failed, and we lost the business plan competition. We didn't make it to the semifinals. But then that summer, the iPhone App Store came out, and we said, hey, you want to use your phone to track your keys? Well, now you can actually do it because it's an app. But before apps, nobody realized what we were doing. So we got some cash, and we moved into a garage, naturally, right?
Of course.
So, we had this idea, right? But what's the value of an idea?
Nothing unless you can register other
somebody
people
need it.
for it.
Exactly. The value of idea is big, huge goose egg. You can have the best idea in the world, but unless you do something with it, it isn't worth anything. It's all about, one word, execution. How well you can take that idea and make it real. And so that's what we sought out to do. I quit my job, right? This is in a down economy, right after the crash in 2008, Nobody had jobs. Unemployment was at 13%. And I told my boss, I'm quitting. I'm going to go start a company. And he kind of looked at me like I was crazy. But, we wrapped things up over about a period of a month. And we all moved into a house. And this house had oh, man, I'm not changing slides. All right, this house had a garage. And this is us in the garage. Right, we set up all of our workstation where we're soldering all the electronics together, writing all of the smartphone code, and I was making that little mechanical design for a little keychain, a little Bluetooth keychain that would attach to your keys, bag, whatever, and an app running on your phone would watch that device. And so if they became separated, you leave one behind, both ring. So I can show you a little bit of an advanced version of that demo today. So this is my Cobra Tag sensor. When I press this button, my phone is going to ring. And say I can't find my keys in the morning, like this morning, right? I press the button on the app and it beeps the fob. And that same alert happens when you leave either one behind, and then we remember where on a Google map you left that item, and then we email or text that information to you. So you always know where you leave your stuff. So that's the idea. What was that?
What's the range on that?
Bluetooth. So 30 feet, yeah. So then after kind of building this prototype version that you see here, we went to CES, which is the big consumer electronics trade show. And we went to go and show the world what we've done. We got to talk to so many people. I think that was the biggest thing. After executing, you have to test right away. And it's important to take very little steps towards your goal and then test very frequently. So that's one thing that's really helped us succeed is going and testing, right? We talked to buyers, we talked to Reaume, we talked to Motorola, we talked to, Sky Mall, and we said, here's what it does, here's the demo, do you like it? And they said, yes. And then they also told us some other stuff, but I'll get to that in a second. But basically, we didn't know how to sell. That was the bottom line. We didn't know how to tell the story. So at this phase, we learned two really important rules. Sell, then build. Never build, then sell. Because we got it wrong. And then the second thing that we learned is in a small company, there's one thing that solves all of your problems. Sales. Sales solves all problems. Mm-hmm. So after getting some traction at CES, we got a Wall Street Journal article on their blog. And so we knew we had a concept that people were interested in. So we launched at Demo in 2010, and we won the Demo God Award, which was very, very exciting. We were up against about 10 other huge consumer electronics companies with $10 million in funding. We basically scraped by on about $150,000 of friends and family cash, and we stole the show. So after Demo, after the Wall Street Journal paper edition, we started getting orders from customers. And so we started shipping the little phone Halo version down there. Can you guys all see the screen?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So we sold nearly 1,000 units on the web and on Amazon. And the funny thing is we could sell online, but we could never sell in stores. Store buyers looked at the device and they kind of shook their heads. They're like, yeah, I really like the concept and it's great, but I just don't think it'll work. And we couldn't find out why. But retail buyers have the hardest job, one of the hardest jobs in the US. They have the highest turnover rate, right? If they pick one bad product, they're fired. That Best Buy buyer who stocks all the Bluetooth headsets, if he picks a headset that is new, inventive, cool, but nobody buys it, his job's on the line and he gets fired. So we took that feedback and we said, all right, we need to make it pretty. So in 2011, in January, we launched the Cobra Tag. Cobra Tag, we completely redesigned the inside and outside and the software. We made the software look a lot cleaner. We focused more on the Android platform, which was starting to grow quite a bit at that time. And yeah, we had a really viable product at this point. So we also made the shift in 2011 where we changed our business model, because previously our model was you buy the hardware from us and then we buy it from the manufacturer, right? So manufacturer, phone halo, and then we sell it to the customers or to the retail stores. But now we decided that's really hard, right? We saw that if you go and you have to take, you can only have 10% of your working capital deployed at one time in inventory. Because if you, from a cash flow perspective, it's just very difficult to warehouse physical products because you have to buy all of it.
2-minute warning.
Okay. So we started deploying a phone halo platform that we would brand for OEM customers. Cobra Electronics is a publicly traded company. We licensed out the technology to them, and then they're taking it to market. They have the relationship with Best Buy, QVC, Amazon, and they know how to sell products. So we thought, let's focus on making good products, which we're good at, and let's give the product to someone else whose focus is going and taking products through retail. So I think the other big thing that we learned in 2011 was market research, customer feedback is so important. It'll take you to the right product at the right price. And then also, focus is about saying no. Steve Jobs said that, and it's such a good quote because at this point in time, I remember making the choice, do I have friends or do I have a company? And it's a hard choice. It's not easy. I'm the oldest of 7 kids. Like, I don't get to hang out with my brothers and sisters as much as I'd like. I don't get to have as many friendships as I like. But I made the choice to work 12 hours a day for the 6 days a week for the past 3 years. And now we're shipping products to some of the world's biggest publicly traded companies. And they're going to be pushing all of these devices out. So if you think about a real value proposition now, when you want to find information, where do you go? You look at Google. Say there's that classmate that you want to catch up with. Where do you go? Facebook. Maybe the professional world will go to LinkedIn. But now we see there's no solution, simple software solution to finding your valuables. So we've really tried to say, okay, where are things going? Things are going in a direction where there's going to be computing power on everything. My keys are going to talk to my phone. My bag is going to talk to my laptop. And all of these things are going to start talking to each other. So we're really excited to be putting out a platform that's going to facilitate all of those conversations. And yeah, we work in town and we're always looking for more communications, marketing interns, as well as anybody who's interested in engineering or kind of business management. So if you're interested in getting some experience, come up to me afterwards and get my card. Thanks so much.
Great. I can't wait to hear the police blotter of like things that are going to happen with Phone Halo finding some of these things, where they're going to end up. So
Yeah, there was a good story about that this past week where somebody stole this guy's iPad, and the guy goes and uses Mobile Me to track it down, and then the police go to his house and they find that this guy had robbed over 30 cars, and he had a bunch of laptops and cameras and things like that. So I think the more that we can connect everything, the more we're going to be able to secure everything.
yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. Great. So the next person I'm going to introduce is Jason Dorfman. He just started a company called Optopic, and Christian, I can lovingly call you a geek because you are an engineer, right? Is that okay with you?
Yeah.
All right. So I don't know if you're a geek or not, but I know that you come
I'm
from more.
definitely a geek.
You are. Okay.
Definitely a geek.
But you come from the business angle, so I
Yeah.
think this will be a nice balance to the engineering side. So welcome, Jason.
Hey everyone, I'm Jason Dorfman. My company is called Optopic. We're really new. We've been working on it as a side project while we were at our job for a while. I actually just recently left my job just a few weeks ago. And just kind of back of what Christian said about sell first and build, we dumped about 20,000 lines of code because we were in stealth mode. Don't do that. So make sure you...
Did you say code? What
Yeah.
did you- Okay.
We-
It sounded like Coke over here.
code, yeah. Yeah, 20,000 lines of code. So yeah, make sure you talk to people and make sure you're solving a problem that people actually have. It's harder than it seems at first. So I'll give you the quick pitch on what we do or what we're set out to do. So we're a network for creative professionals. So similar to something like a LinkedIn, and I'll get to that in just a moment. So what are creative professionals? Can be anything from an actor, a model, or someone like a graphic designer or a photographer. So this time around, we're actually trying to talk to all these people and make sure we're solving a legitimate problem for them. So here's actually our graphic designer, Nick Rolfe, and it's one of the people we talked to and tested and tried to find out what do you need. And one of the things we learned when we were talking to actors, models, graphic designers, these creative people, is that they're all going out and they're trying to make their own websites, for their business, and that's not their core competency. If you're a fashion designer, you design fashion. If you're a photographer, you like to take pictures. So why pay the big bucks to make a website or have to do it yourself? So there's other there's other professional networks. What about LinkedIn? And I'll get to kind of the competitive analysis in just a second. But LinkedIn is actually they're oriented towards finance, high tech, medical, education, and the media and the arts are just a small sliver of that. And I think there's a few reasons for that. One reason is that they only allow you to have one thumbnail size image, and that doesn't make sense if you're an actor. It doesn't make sense if you're a photographer. Another thing we noticed that the age range was kind of a lot older than what most of the creative professionals that we knew kind of fell into. And the reason is that they picked venture capitalists as their early adopters, so the venture capitalists brought in the entrepreneurs. And while they've grown to 23 million active users, that's really just still a small section of the professional market, and we want to pick up basically the rest of that. So there's actually, it's 23 million active users, and that's globally. There's 20 million creative professionals just in the United States alone, and that's not including the people where maybe they're a photographer on the side, maybe they're a graphic designer on the side. So we think it's a really big market, and we're still trying to test and figure out exactly what people want. We're thinking sort of like a social network where they can white label it and use their own domain. So rather than having a website and being isolated, you can still connect with other people. And to make money, we're thinking a marketplace model. If our users are content providers, why not let them license their pictures or graphic design or anything else? So the early days.
White label?
White label, like let people put their own domain name on it or let people put their own label on it. So we're still trying to figure out what people wanted. We began coding it, so we have our API so far, and we're building some stuff on mobile devices, things like that. Let me should back up for a second. Our team, it's myself, 2 engineers, mostly specializing in cloud and mobile, and we have a designer working part-time. So yeah, so now kind of a background on me. That's me when I'm 14. I don't know why I'm wearing a tie. I guess that was punk rock or something at the time, but it's kind of one of my first entrepreneurial experiences was like starting bands and stuff like that. I was in a few different bands growing up, and it's interesting. You learn a lot about teamwork and marketing yourself and starting something out of nothing. And that kind of brings me to my lesson number 1. It's all about the team, right? And sometimes you have popular kids in your band, and everyone comes to the show, but no one knows how to play the instrument. Sometimes you're all music nerds, and then no one shows up, but your music's good. So you really need to have all the components. You need the business people, you need the people that can build, you need the people that can design, because that's how competitive it is these days. So, college. So that's actually a picture I went to Santa Barbara City College myself and transferred to UCSB. And before I transferred, it was kind of a long story how we ended up doing this, but we started a fraternity, and that's actually where I met one of my co-founders. And the fraternity actually crashed and burned. So it was kind of my first experience with failure. We got up to about 50 people. We picked the wrong nationals, and they told us we secured a house, they'd buy it for us, and then they didn't buy it for us. So I think one of the things I learned is that you don't have to to start a business, to be an entrepreneur, right? Why not fail? I mean, we didn't spend anything to start this fraternity. We collected people's money. We used it to throw events, things like that. So, you know, while you're in college, start clubs, start other things. You don't have to take big risks. And, you know, no matter how many entrepreneurial books you might read, you're not going to learn everything. You're going to have to, you know, fail a few times, at least in small ways. But it doesn't mean you have to quit your job or quit school to start a business and fail and then go broke. So definitely encourage you to start clubs. So it doesn't have to be a fraternity, obviously, but start anything and you'll learn a lot from it. It's better to fail cheap. And that also goes for just failing fast internally when you're developing a product. That's what we didn't do the first time around. You know, build something small, put it out there. If it fails, and you have time to iterate and put something else out. So don't, they said, go into stealth mode for 8 months, build something that you think is going to release, and then it turns out no one wants that. So yeah, so my 4th year after the fraternity crumbled, discovered the technology management program, which Christian was mentioning. I was in the new venture competition. I loved it. It was amazing. I was actually a communication major when I was at SBCC, and then I picked up philosophy. So I did philosophy and TMP all in my 4th year, post-fraternity life. And after college, it took me a while to get a job, but I ended up at RightScale, which is a great company here locally. I believe Daniel Howard spoke here last week, so I worked with him for just over a year, and I couldn't ask for anything better. Actually, my last year of college, I started to teach myself how to program. That's sort of how I got into computers. And I don't really recommend doing it on your own. You can kind of end up going in a direction, learning all the wrong things first and stuff like that. But it was a great experience. And through that, you know, through trying to teach myself on RightScale, I got a lot of technical skills. And a lot of people say, you know, you were, you know, philosophy and communication major. How did you get these good engineers to work with you? And, you know, when you talk to anyone trying to have a web startup, they're like, how do you find, you know, engineers to work with you? I'm trying to find an engineer. You always hear that. And I think the answer is stop being so not technical, because if you can't communicate with them, why do they want to work with you? So it doesn't mean you have to be the greatest computer scientist, you know, in the world, but, you know, learn the basics, learn a little bit. Code Academy is a really cool website where you can learn some of the basics of JavaScript. But it's really important to be able to communicate with technical people, at least if you're doing a technical product. So yeah, that was my last lesson. Is I did quit my job, and everyone told me I was crazy. You know, my parents said, you know, wait till you make money, you know, before you leave. Why would you leave a great company like RightScale after a year? I had got promoted while I was there, and you have to take risks. I wanted to add the crazy part, 'cause it's not just about taking risks. People are going to tell you your ideas are dumb, that you can't make it. Don't listen to them. You have to take the risk if you want to do anything great. And like I said before, you can start small. You can start being an entrepreneur, start small things on campus and learn from your failures then before you kind of go into the big leagues. So yeah, that's all I got. Thanks.
Great, thank you.
I have a question. How much is the Halo for the phone?
It's available for Android and BlackBerry. It was on QVC a few weeks ago for $44, but usually it's $59.
Nice.
So, yeah, just Google Cobra Tag and you'll find it.
You know you've arrived when you're on QVC.
Yeah, that was a pretty cool moment.
Wall Street Journal, that's when you know you arrived. That's so awesome.
Is there anything, or do you foresee doing anything for like wallets? I recently lost my wallet, and so it would be kind of nice.
Yeah, I could say that there's a bunch of things that we want to track, and glasses, wallets, pretty much everything that you want to keep with you is kind of on our roadmap.
Are you gonna have like a little sticker chip or something? Cause
That's the goal.
RFID.
okay.
Well, there's this new technology that you guys all need to know about, and it came out very surprisingly quietly. It's called Bluetooth Low Energy, and the iPhone 4S launched with this technology. Everybody was saying, oh, nothing changed, it looks the same, it just has a bigger camera. Well, it has. It's the first phone that has Bluetooth Low Energy in it. And what that allows you to do is connect to an unlimited number of devices. And all of these little devices are like heart rate monitors and what we're doing, like low power sensors, and they last for years on a single button cell battery. So it's really going to enable this kind of Internet of Things, this interactivity. So when you walk into a room, your phone's going to do different things. It's going to pick up who's there, and it's really, I think, going to improve a lot of people's lives. But
Cool.
Yes.
As far as patents and, you guys, have you guys dealt with all that, competitors and stealing your business ideas or models? It's sort of an issue for almost everyone these days.
Yeah, I don't know if we got a few patents, but really they don't mean anything. It's more defensive. We're seeing that there was some value to them, as competitors that have tried to come out won't copy us exactly, so they do different implementations of similar systems, and those have these really big problems in them. Come to find out, we did it the easiest way, luckily. Really, it's more about execution than anything else, because as soon as something's public domain, then it's out there and anybody can do it. So I think that execution is way more important than getting patents. It depends on what you're doing too, and as far as worrying about people stealing your idea, just think about if they're going to work harder than you on this. Are they going to work 12 hours a day, and are they going to bust their butt to make it happen? Or are they just kind of going to be like, oh yeah, I'll tinker around with it a little bit? And even if you think about it, you and somebody takes your idea at one point in time, they're not taking the 6 months, 1 year, whatever time that it brought you to that point. So they're at a complete disadvantage. But you're at a disadvantage unless you talk about it, because the way to perfect your ideas is through communication and then listening.
I think it's industry specific too. Some industries it's really important to spend a few years and thousands of dollars to get a patent to protect yourself. In software, it's kind of the Wild West, and for anyone who wants to kind of copy what we're doing, and people will, it's we're doing it because it's in line with our core competencies. We're good at cloud, we're good at mobile, we know creative people, we've been talking to them for the past few months, so by the time anyone catches up, we feel like we'll already be ahead of the game. And you see a lot of that, especially in other countries. Like there was a lot of Groupon clones. Any front-end code you have, you can right-click and basically steal it all. So it happens, but no one knows more about your business than you. But I think internet in particular, patents are a little bit less important, at least in the startup phase.
Yes.
I just have a quick question. Are you guys going to be available for individual questions after this? Or?
Sure.
Yeah, sure.
All right. Well, we have a few questions.
You have a long line.
Yes.
I have a question for all three of you. What's your title for your business, and does your company have a website?
So I'm a search engine optimizer, and I'm the founder, and it's thesearchenginepros.com. Yeah, thesearchenginepros.com.
And that's all on the Career Center website. So if you forget this, you can go to the Career Center website and you can find, I'll put your guys' websites up too. I don't have those up, but I have their names, their company names. But go ahead.
Yeah, my name's Christian Smith, and I'm the co-founder of Phone Halo. Right now, I'm the Chief Operations Officer, so I'm in charge of sales, marketing, and finances. So that's kind of my blanket stretch of what I manage on a day-to-day basis. Our website's phonehalo.com.
We actually don't have positions assigned yet. It's kind of ridiculous to call your. Yeah, it prevents arguments sometimes in the beginning, and I mean, if you're really early stage, calling yourself a CEO is just kind of pompous, and it's a little ridiculous. Right now, at least on my PowerPoint slides for investors, I'm the hustler. One of my co-founders is the scientist, the other one's the engineer, and then we have the designer. So doing stuff like that's cool. I know that John Greathouse has, he goes with the tribe, right?
Yeah.
So it's the hunter, the shaman. And so I think that's a really cool way, because I think that's the way you actually work together. I mean, I don't really have the job of a CEO. One day I'm doing marketing, another day I'm doing finance, so it doesn't make sense to assign those types of positions. And it ends up, I'm the CFO, so that's all I do, so I can't do anything else. You don't want to get locked in that mindset, because everyone has to do everything at the beginning.
Cool. More questions? Welcome. Great. I really liked what you said about execution being the key to everything, because I think I for one am probably a
I don't know, a frustrated entrepreneur myself, and I think it's because I don't do execution. I find things to get in the way of actually sitting down and, you know, getting it out there. And I was talking with Deborah, sorry, and she was saying a lot of times ideas come and an idea's time has come. So it's kind of whoever executes it is going to be the one, you know, who gets to claim it. So I think that was a great point that you made. And then the other thing that I just want to say that I think is so interesting, you guys are all, you know, fairly young, and we had an older guy last semester he's the CEO of Idea Engineer, a marketing firm. And I mean, he's older, he's like my age, ancient. And he was saying, if you don't crash and burn when you're young, you're wasting your time, because it becomes progressively harder to crash and burn. Like, okay, you can't hang out with your younger brothers and sisters right now, and maybe you're not having the raging social life. But that will all become more difficult as time goes by, not less difficult. So I think it's good to crash and burn while you kind of can. So, and it's very interesting to hear the similar themes that that people in this series talk about, because they, you know, you guys all have a passion for what you do, and Taylor, you really talked about, you know, marrying your passions. This is something that we really talk about in the Career Center as well, is like, well, what do you like, what do you gravitate towards, and how can you maybe monetize that? So that's awesome. I'm very inspired. I need to work on that execution thing. Anybody else?
Excuse me if this is a little bit forward, but Jason, right?
Yeah.
How do you plan on revenue stream? Do you?
I was curious about that too.
Paying a, I guess,
Yeah.
subscription or ads?
I actually had a slide for that and I left it out, but there's a few different ways we plan to make money with this. So one is premium accounts, like LinkedIn does. LinkedIn is anywhere from $29.99 to $899 a month, and basically what they do is they limit the search features on their platform, and then you have to pay to open them up, so recruiters and executives, people like that use it. We don't think that's necessarily the best model for us, because we think the creative professionals are trying to make money. They're not necessarily the executives on LinkedIn who want to pay for that. The marketplace model is something that we're looking at really closely. One of the things that we have that LinkedIn doesn't have is that the people that would be using our network hypothetically are the content producers. So, you know, they can sell it through our platform for a commission, or if you want to use a photo on your website, you can, you know, maybe use it once or license it, something like that. And then the third is obviously advertising, which any kind of social network or site where you have a lot of users, you can eventually dive into that. But I think it's important to ask your users first and try and figure out, you know, how they want to be charged and what they want and what, you know, what's worth paying for them. I know DocStock is kind of interesting. They put up, they'll put up a new service or product on their site, and they'll have people go through the sign-up process, get all the way there, and they go, just kidding, the product's not even there. And then they judge by how many people actually went through that process, you know, and then actually build that product. Because there's a lot of different price points. There's a lot of ways you can go, and so yeah, we're still open-minded about that, but we do have a plan. So.
Yeah. That's a good call. We didn't do that. We were very sad that we didn't find out what kind of attachment rates. You know, if you have 100 people that look at your website and 10 sign up for $12 a month, like, you're gold.
Yeah.
You're gonna print money.
Do we have any other questions? Yes.
What sort of things would you guys do to keep motivated? Because, I mean, 12-hour days seems like, I mean, it's a lot, and I understand that, I mean, if you want to execute something, you have to invest the time. What sort of things would you do to stay motivated?
Personally, I think you have to be a little stupid to be an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Right? You are going up against obstacles that are like so big that no one else is going to try and go up against them. But the biggest thing I do to stay motivated throughout the day is really caring about people and like focusing on, okay, how can I help other people rather than focusing on myself? And that always, I find that will kind of drive me. And then breaking everything down into little chunks. And I mean, it takes 30 days to create a habit. So, and hard work becomes a good habit. So if you get in this groove where you're kind of you're accomplishing a lot, and you're doing, you know, you say, I'm going to do 10 little things, and you have your list all checked off at the end of the day. That feels awesome. And that you just incentivized yourself to do that the next day. So figure out like how you like to be rewarded. Some people, like my business partner, he doesn't like to be like rewarded as like, good job, that was awesome. He likes to be like, all right, this is going to be super hard, and you know, you're never going to, I don't think you could do this. And he'll be like, I'm going to do it, and just try and like prove me wrong. So just understand like how you and other people are motivated too.
And I like what Taylor said about trying to do something that blurs the line between work and play, because you know that's a huge motivation right there. You know, you're like, okay, there's these long days and you know this uncertainty, but I love doing this. It's super fun. I love not having to go into an office or whatever it is. I love working out of a garage, or I love working with these 3 friends. You know, that's gonna kind of blur that line and probably keep you motivated, I would think.
Yeah, and work on the projects that have some kind of dual benefit, I think. The projects that I get into are ones where I have to do that research anyways for another area of my life. So if you have, maybe it's like you want to get close to a certain group of people, like I'm very into Caribbean music. I like making like world music. And so if I make a website for Caribbean you know, people, it's going to move me towards that direction. So the projects that I get into, it's not like you know eBay stores and things like where you're going to make a quick dollar. It's more something that is moving you towards a group of people that's going to eventually in your 5-year plan you're going to have success. So I think, and that motivates me because I think, you know, I'm doing, even if it fails, because there's like high failure rate with this stuff, and even if it does fail, you end up getting closer to these people that you want in your life. Like I want to travel to Africa and teach kids how to use computers, and so I'm making humanitarian websites. And that's going to, even if I fail at the project, it's bringing me closer to these people that I want to be around in my life, right? So going towards projects where you enjoy doing it, but think about the monetization piece, because if you can't monetize it, even the best idea, it won't get off the ground unless you have capital. And that's just a sad reality of a lot of these business ventures. And so if you don't have capital, you have to do grassroots and just be really into it, like a remarkable level of passion, and eat, sleep, and breathe it. So if you're going to do that, find something that's in your 5-year plan interest.
Something you like, yeah. Okay, I think we're going to kind of wrap up. I know you have some individual questions for these guys, and I'm going to tell you about
good. These 2 things.
These 2 things. I'm going to tell you about the product, the Enterprise Launch, which is a program that the Scheinfeld Center for Entrepreneurism is sponsoring. It's on Friday mornings at 9 o'clock.
You have to be available from 9 to 12, and the room is here. It's IDC 209, but it is basically working with a Harvard grad who did what these guys have done. They kind of took a risk, started businesses.
Times.
He started 50 businesses, and some of them went big. He's now a retired 40-year-old with millions. So he likes to work with students who are interested in starting a business, but you have to be committed to the whole shebang. And the first meeting, after they had this one orientation, but the first meeting is this Friday,
so we
2
have
days
tons
from
of
now.
these. We'll pass these out, and you can find more information online.
Oh God, I forget his name.
Okay.
And
No,
then
then there is a competition. That's the second thing. Do you know the gentleman's name? Anton?
Yeah, Dr. Anton.
Dr. Anton?
Yeah, and then this is the Venture Challenge here, also through the Scheinfeld Center for Entrepreneurism, which all the information you need is on the website, but it has to do with an entrepreneurial idea. It's a competition, and they have a lot of different cash awards, including a $15,000 award. So
yeah. So like these 2 students at UCSB, you were part of the Enterprise Launch or whatever that project is. This is Santa Barbara City College's version. So you can get launched even before you transfer it.
And if your product launches, I will invite you to be a speaker for the How I Made It series. Now, is that an incentive? Or
That's
what?
an incentive. And as part of this, what they do, they pick a product, they bring it from start to finish this semester. So you will learn how to start a successful, or a business that hopefully will be successful in this program. So that's pretty impressive.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and close. I want to thank our speakers so much for coming. We really appreciate you sharing your time with us. I have a little career duck for you that hopefully when you're needing some extra inspiration, this will be there for you. And that's it. So feel free to hang out and talk to these guys. And thank you so much for coming and spending your time with us. Awesome. All right.